So I put 25, 5, 2, 3 right there. That's actually the place she entered. So it must have been a return, a retest. So this is the snapshot of what she was looking at when it closed on the 5-minute, but she did not enter there. She entered more on the retest. So really the 15 seconds showing like this, with this being the look at the time. I mean, we're not using the 15-second for actual trading. We're just doing this on the replay. So, and then so here's the retest, and on this big drop is where she got filled for her order. So this is how she's entering on the initial balance fail, or the failed auction, and she caught it perfectly. So the black line is the initial balance low, the rejection there, the retest. So what we're learning here is that the retest, how this looks, it can be intimidating, but this is the story in play. And it's like the demand takes a breather, supply has a little moment, and then the demand comes right in as the people like Krista gets in, and it just goes from there, with the 1 minute and 5 minute looking like that, and we're off to the races. And immediately she's able to move the stop. So yeah, it's actually pretty cool. So yeah, and so now it's off to the races after this little dip right there. Okay, now the 15 is going to break this structure right there, and off we go. And so at 8:18 is when she sends this out, and she shows that she captured this right there. That's the 1 minute retest. She did not get in right here. She got in more on this little retest. It would have been nearly impossible to get in right there. You'd have to sit through this retest anyway, so you might as well just come over here and grab the retest. Okay, this is a recreation of what Krista traded this morning. So we're still in the opening hour. We still have yet to make the opening range. Well, we made the opening range 15-minute low. We have value area low. We had this high node area, high volume node. We're coming down to make the initial balance. So we're still at that stage. So now we just made the initial balance, and that's the 7:30 candle right there on the 1 minute. We made it like this. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna come up, and then it's gonna come for an auction. And it's actually gonna be a failed auction, as we'll see. Okay, we're speeding this up a little bit. Okay, now it's gonna come down, and then we're really gonna slow it down to like a much slower speed, including the 15-second. Okay, we're coming down. Okay, so as it comes down to the initial balance low, we're gonna exceed that, and we're gonna watch for the liquidity grab, basically a failed. So we're gonna go to a third of the speed. So if we freeze frame here, we have the 1 minute coming down below. We're having an auction on the initial balance. And on the 15-second chart, this is what it looks like. And as we go, the 15-second is going to be showing mainly we're just trying to recreate or trying to see more granularly. So we have the first signs of rejection here with the wick. So the horizontal line showing the first signs of rejection here, but the 5 minute is showing a wick like this. So we will forward it a little bit at a time. So okay, so the 5 minute is starting to look like a hammerish, and the 1 minute starting to look like that. The 15-second right here, that's the initial balance low. So we'll put a line there for the initial balance low for reference on the rejection. So we got a wick, and we got some green candles showing the initial rejection. And the 5 minute has now become this. So we see how the 5 minute closes. The 1 minute up here, showing both the 1 minute and the 5 minute together. So that's a good view. Okay, 1 minute showing some momentum. Okay, 5 minute has just closed. And so if we were to do it again, let's look at the thing coming down to the failed auction, and we'll look at everything together all at once with the 15 minute just for granularity, and the 5 minute coming down to the initial balance low. And we'll push play and watch it all three at the same time. So we're coming down, we're rejecting, we're making the initial balance high in the first hour. And so that's going to be the high of the first hour right there. Okay, we're coming down to try to auction off on the initial balance. This is the initial balance low. That's been made. Initial balance high right there at the very beginning. So it never really made it up to the high right here before rejecting up here. And it's coming down to the auction. And the speed of this actually makes it kind of nice because you don't have to wait for too long before we get down here. Okay, speeding up to 3 times speed, approaching So it really happens quick. So here's the rejection. So if we're looking at a slower replay at 0.2, 1/5 the speed, 15 seconds, initial balance low, rejecting down here like this. And then at some point, the 5 minutes is gonna have this long wick and close. And it's not closed yet. It's gonna close as a green hammer. So this is a failed auction, rejecting initial balance low, grabbing the liquidity right just as a wick. Like that. And it's gonna close on the 5 minutes soon. Okay, there it closed. Now we're waiting for the retest. So 8:18 is when she sent the screenshot out. So right now the clock is 8:11. She's waiting for it to take a breather. When it takes the breather, she gets in right at the most perfect spot with a nice tight stop. And this is where she got in at 23.75. And that's how it would have looked in real time with the 15-second chart here. And then we're off to the races. So you really have to be anticipating and ready to pull the trigger, because when it does happen, it happens fast. You make the decision on the little hammer at the bottom, and then you catch the retest, the little bit of breather right there on the 15-second chart, on the 1 minute chart. So that's what she was working with.